So if you're from Georgia, you may have heard of Covenant House. Covenant House has a few locations here in Georgia. They are a 501c. And as you can see here on their website, they have Covey Build, which is a group of women dedicated to meeting the needs of youth experiencing homelessness and escaping trafficking in Atlanta by supporting the mission and staff of CHGA. Now, trafficking is huge in Atlanta. We all know this, okay? So, on their website, it says at Covenant House of Georgia, we are much more than a shelter. We provide more than a bed and a meal for youth experiencing homelessness and escaping trafficking. We show unconditional love and give comprehensive support that our youth can and will realize their fullest potential. And, of course, we have a huge airport here, and Delta Airlines is a huge, not only supporter, but partner. Okay. So when they talk about their impact on their website, they say they have 37,081 total nights of shelter provided in their most recently completed year. 784 youth served throughout the core programs and services last year with, donations, 501c. And 100% of their youth have received individualized case management. 78% of the youth in a Rites of Passage program to exit to permanent housing. Okay, so their mission statement, Covenant House opens doors of opportunity and hope to youth experiencing homelessness and escaping trafficking. We welcome all youth and invite them to learn how to open their own doors, hearts, and futures. Our door is open to anyone regardless of race, creed, gender, and the circumstances that have brought them to our threshold. Covenant House is more than just a place to stay. It is a belief that we and our partners can do more than feed and clothe. We can counsel, mentor, heal, advocate, inspire, and transform. Together, we can create a future where no youth is forced to spend a night on the street. And they go on to talk about how they have been impacting Atlanta for over 20 years. But, we should talk about that impact that they have had in Georgia over a span of a great number of years, right? So if you look them up on Wikipedia, they talk about when they were incorporated, which was in 1972. Okay, they offer college scholarships, GED, developmental programs, substance abuse treatment, legal services, mental health services, and of course we mentioned transitional housing, right? And if you scroll down, and let's talk about the history, okay? So in the late 1960s, the Reverend Bruce Ritter, a Franciscan priest, retired from his job as a professor at Manhattan College to begin a new ministry serving the city's poor. Joined by colleague Father James Fitzgibbon, he moved into a dilapidated tenement building in New York City's East Village. With volunteers, including friends, former students, and neighbors, he began an effort to help homeless and runaway young people. By 1970, Father Fitzgibbon had moved to other ministries, but Father Ritter remained. Adrian Gately, Patricia Kennedy, and Paul Frazier joined him to create the Covenant community. And in 1972, Covenant House was officially incorporated with its first intake center established at 504 LaGuardia Place. Now, as an established nonprofit organization, Covenant House began to fundraise to shelter youth facing homelessness in Lower Manhattan on Staten Island. In 1976, Father Ritter announced plans to create a multi-service center near the Port Authority bus terminal. Covenant House then acquired a group of buildings on West 44th Street and moved its administrative offices to the new location, which moved into a retrofitted cluster of buildings on West 41st Street in 1979. Throughout the late 1970s, Covenant House expanded its social service programs in New York City and began to branch out to other cities in 1980. For the next 4 decades, Covenant House grew, led by Sister Mary Rose McGeady, Sister Tricia Cruz, and Kevin Ryan, and opened centers in 34 cities in the United States, Canada, and Latin America. Okay? So despite having a board of directors, Covenant House's public face has tended to be its presidents. Father Bruce Ritter founded Covenant House and served as president from 1972 to his resignation in 1990. He was succeeded by his sister Mary Rose McGeady of D.C., who served from 1990 to 2003. In 2003, the board of directors elected Patricia A. Cruz, South Carolina. In addition to their administrative duties, the presidents of Covenant House have been known for their fundraising letters telling the stories of the youth Covenant House serves, some of which have been collected in books. Senior Patricia A. Cruz resigned her position as president of Covenant House International in 2008. Kevin Ryan, formerly the child advocate of New Jersey, became president in 2009 and retired from the position in February of 2023. William Bill Bedrosian, former CEO of Covenant House of California, became CEO of president of Covenant House International February 13th this year, 2003. So let's get to the controversy. In February of 1990, Covenant House's founder and president Bruce Ritter was forced to step down in the wake of allegations of sexual and financial misconduct, beginning with the accusations of Kevin Kite, who accused Ritter of sexual abuse. Ritter resigned, but he was never charged with sexual abuse. Soon after, more accusations surfaced. 4 men came forward publicly claiming to have been in relationships with Ritter for years, including multiple who stated the relationship started when they were minors, receiving services through Covenant House. A report later prepared for Covenant House counted a total of 15 reported cases of acts between Ritter and the youth and young adults who were living or volunteering at the shelter. The Manhattan District Attorney Robert M. Morgenthau began looking into possible financial improprieties or the use of false documentation by Covenant House's officials. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office announced that it was ending its investigation of Ritter's alleged financial misconduct and would not file criminal charges on the day after his resignation. Okay? Covenant House's board of directors immediately commissioned an independent investigation conducted by a private investigative firm, Kroll Associates, and the law firm Kravitz, Swain, and Moore. After a 5-month investigation, 150 interviews, and the poring over thousands of pages of documents, their report noted that on the subject of misconduct, none of the allegations, when viewed individually, can be proved beyond any question. At the same time, the report confirmed the cumulative evidence against Father Ritter was extensive. The report also cited a number of minor financial irregularities, but added that fundraising was professionally and efficiently managed. Sister Mary Rose McGeady, then Associate Director of Catholic Charities for the Diocese of Brooklyn, became president of Covenant House, instituting both financial and program-related reforms. Let's skip ahead. So, Senator John Ossoff, here in Georgia, uncovers 1,790 children in Georgia DFCS's care were reported missing between 2018 and 2022. Okay. So Chairman Ossoff released new findings from bipartisan probe into abuse and neglect of children in foster care. U.S. Senate Human Rights Subcommittee Chairman John Ossoff is continuing his bipartisan investigation into the abuse and neglect of children in foster care. Today, Senator Ossoff held a press conference at Covenant House of Georgia to release that an analysis conducted by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children found that between 2018 and 2022, 1,790 children who were in the care of Georgia DFCS were reported missing. Now, this isn't the first time we're hearing about this. This isn't the first time we're hearing about this. Okay. Now, you have a senator investigating and advocating on behalf of these children. That's a lot of children. As part of its ongoing bipartisan investigation, the subcommittee requested data from the NCMEC on the number of children who were reported missing from DFCS's care between 2018 and 2022. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, children who have gone missing from care are left more vulnerable to human trafficking, sexual exploitation, and other threats to their health and safety. These numbers are deeply troubling because these are more than numbers. These are children, says Senator Ossoff. And according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and I think the leadership here at Covenant House has a lot of experience with issues like this. Children who go missing from care are left more vulnerable to human trafficking, to sexual exploitation, and to other threats to their health and safety. This is about human beings. Vulnerable children who deserve protection from abuse, who deserve sanctuary from neglect, and that is why I will continue to relentlessly investigate failures to protect the most vulnerable children in our state. Okay, so the NCMEC's review found that some of the children were repeatedly reported missing from DFCS's care, as the NCMEC study found that nearly 2,500 episodes of children in the care of Georgia DFCS being reported missing in the five-year span. The Federal Preventing Sex Trafficking and Strengthening Families Act, signed into law in 2014, requires state agencies to report a missing child to both law enforcement and NCMEC within 24 hours of receiving information about a child under their care. And this is a nonprofit organization designated by Congress to serve as the national clearinghouse on issues related to missing and exploited children. Now, NCMEC is funded partially by a mandatory federal grant from the Department of Justice and serves as a reporting and case management center for issues related to the prevention and recovery from child victimization. On Wednesday, Human Rights Subcommittee Chairman Ossoff and Ranking Member Marsha Blackburn convened a hearing in Washington, D.C. to receive testimony from former foster kids, parents, and experts as part of the subcommittee's ongoing bipartisan investigation into the treatment of foster children in the United States. Here they speak of a mother whose 2-year-old's daughter was eliminated while in their care. There's a story linking to that. A former foster child who described being locked up like an inmate and over-medicated while in DFCS's care. The subcommittee also heard from experts who testified about systematic failures within the system, with one expert testifying that the foster care system in Georgia has always struggled with systematic challenges and barriers, but I've never seen it as dismal as it is today. In February, the following reports that children in the care of Georgia's Division of Family and Children Services, DFCS, have been subjected to abuse and neglect. Chairman Ossoff and Ranking Member Blackburn launched a bipartisan inquiry to assess the safety of the children in the system. This is alarming, very alarming. Okay.
Now, this bipartisan inquiry came after several Channel 2 Action News investigations looked into the matter. Investigative reporter Ashley Lincoln with us now live in Northwest Atlanta, where Senator John Ossoff announced the latest disturbing details. Ashley.
Yeah, Justin and Linda, we were with the senator this morning as he met with leaders at Covenant House. They are a homeless shelter for youth who find themselves homeless. Now, the senator spoke and stated that these new details, they're disturbing regarding how foster children are treated under the state supervision.
1,790 children in the care of Georgia DFCS were reported missing.
That's the alarming number of missing children Senator John Ossoff says were reported missing in the last 5 years.
These numbers are deeply troubling.
The numbers were released, a part of a bipartisan investigation launched earlier this year after a series of Channel 2 investigations into the state's handling of foster children.
This is an investigation about what is being done to protect children.
My question is, in 5 years, really longer, you've been investigating and acts have been called into question. Nothing has been done except for children continuously going missing and being mistreated. Like, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, they should be, in 5 years, they should be past the point of investigating, you would think. If all they can say is we're investigating, 5 years, and just the numbers that we have presented to us, I don't think they really represent the true number of children that are probably missing and or neglected. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's not a day that goes by you don't see reports of children missing around here in alarming numbers. But to know that this is being taken place under the care of the state, 5 years?
National Center for Missing and Exploited Children found between 2018 and 2022, 1,790 children were reported missing in the state of Georgia while in state care. Ossoff says that number is really around 2,500 when you include cases where children were repeatedly reported missing.
That number was very alarming for me.
The Covenant House of Georgia, a safe haven for homeless children, say these numbers have encouraged them to investigate if children they're intaking have been reported missing.
I certainly want to further investigate that.
No child should look at this and think this is my life.
We've reported foster parents' frustrations over the practice of hoteling children earlier this year.
I was often physically restrained. They snapped me into.
Do y'all remember the story of the young lady who came forward and said that she was being housed at a hotel with her foster parent? And her foster parent or her worker one, I can't remember, was telling her, because she was saying she was hungry and she was telling her to sell her body. Y'all remember that story? They were investigating then.
Walls and put my arms into locks.
And Wednesday, the Subcommittee on Human Rights held their first hearing, listening to testimony from former Georgia foster children and families.
The supervisor ignored my pleas.
This is about vulnerable children who deserve protection from abuse, who deserve sanctuary from neglect.
And
See, this is the problem I have with voters. Okay. Some voters, a lot of voters, specifically local voters here in Georgia, people tend to treat voting as if it's like a personal and private thing. When I don't understand that thought process, because what you're voting for concerns everybody. So people, in my opinion, should be getting together to strategically discuss the best routing for voting, depending upon researching the candidates, what they have done in the past, what they support, what they oppose, and what they plan and promise to do in the future. Yet and still, people will say all day long, you'll see them post, go vote for this person, go vote for that person. We supposed to vote for your person? Why? And they do that right when it's time to vote, because y'all know early voting, right? Go vote, go vote today. It's early voting. Here, vote for so-and-so. Huh? What? Who? Don't even give you an explanation of why they feel like the person is a good candidate for the job. They need to post a resume with that person at least. But you can't get anybody to come together to sit down and talk about, why are we keeping this person in office? How have they benefited us? Some of the stuff that people complain about on these apps, the people you put in office are responsible for like ratifying these things that make your life miserable. And you probably don't know, and probably don't care. You just voting out of habit, voting because you like them, voting because they smiled at you today. I don't know what's going on, but it doesn't make any sense when you don't use your votes wisely. It just doesn't make any sense. How can people just go out and vote freely without investigating matters that need to be investigated, that come into question, and find out why nothing has been done about it? All these children rented, people complain all day long on these neighborhood apps about all type of things that go on. But they don't speak about who can do something about it, who may be in support of laws that create the atmosphere for this to be a situation. Who do we need to be talking to and letting them know we're going to get you on up out of here because you're not serving us? Like, nobody want to just have a serious conversation about why nothing is being done about these children. These children are in state care. How are they? Why are they in hotels? Because the country sends a lot of money to other countries. You know, the country is involved in a lot of other things. They spend money on different things. Is the money properly being spent? Is the state money properly being spent when you got foster children standing? I never heard of nothing like that before. Help me understand, why would a foster child be housed in hotels? This is a common practice here in Georgia. And then you got a young lady coming forth saying that she was told to prostitute her body. Then you have an investigation into that, and it goes further that this is common. You have children that are missing from your care.
Ossoff says right now there is no timeline on when this investigation will wrap up. We do know that there will be a hearing coming up on Monday where...
How will it wrap up? You know what? I feel like it'll wrap up the way they want it to wrap up. The same way the Covenant House investigation in the past is wrapped up. You know, I think some deals was made behind the scenes, and, you know, they came out as clean as they could, because at the end of the day, how did that story end? And of course, you know, you have Covenant House saying, yeah, we want to investigate why these children are coming up missing. I mean, it makes sense for them to, you know, do that. But this is not, they don't know when this investigation will wrap up. It's been 5 years that they're telling us about. What kind of investigation are they doing that they don't have any type of information about where these children are ending up at? Because I know they are of various ages. They're not all adults. You're calling them children. Okay? And when you're an adult, you're what? No longer in state's custody. So these are children. So what happened? It's not 5 children. It's not 2 children. It's not 10 children. Orson West went missing, and basically the whole U.S. was looking for those 2 children. Because it just didn't make sense, did it? Where did children go to? We got to find them. Y'all, Jackie, what was it? Jackie and what was her husband's name? Y'all got to give us some answers as to what happened to these little boys. Where's the communities at screaming for them to give some answers as to how these many children are coming missing? Where are they going to? Clearly, they're not showing back up. Now, over the years, I've seen some reports that they found, you know, like 30 children, stuff like that, you know. Where are these children going to? Nah.
Juvenile court judges will testify about what they see regarding how foster children are being treated under the state supervision. You can count on Channel 2 to follow every detail regarding that hearing next week. Reporting live tonight in Northwest Atlanta, Ashley Lincoln, Channel 2 Action News.
I just don't.
I don't know why.
If they don't stop with this here, y'all know this with this commercial here. It's been going on for months, and they keep saying this is their last week to sign up. And I'm like, okay, good. So YouTube gonna stop showing this commercial. But no, they just keep doing it. And then they have the celebrities. They disguise it. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. YouTube would get on you about some content, something that don't make no sense at all. But they are running the mess out of this scamish commercial, right? Nobody's clicking on this. If somebody got to go through this length to try and convince you, especially after the PPP loan situation, I think enough people learned their lesson. But the government ain't giving nobody nothing. And they keep showing the commercial over, and it's annoying as all get out. Do y'all see the one with this fake Steve Harvey voice? They even had one with Rick Ross, and it kind of looked like that one might be legit, like he really did that commercial. They used a lot of celebrities. And I'm trying to figure out, did the celebrities sign over their likeness for this? Because I don't hear nobody suing them for this. So are they getting a kickback for these commercials? Because I know a lot of people done try, I'm going to see, if they're giving out money, I'm going to see. And who knows what this leads you to. But it don't lead you to what they saying. I can guarantee you that. Okay, so this is about a 10-minute speech. I really want to hear all of it, because I want to hear what this young man here has to say.
Good morning, all, and I want to begin by expressing my gratitude to you, Dr. A, and to your entire team for the hospitality that you've shown to me and my team, but more importantly, the incredible work that you're doing here at Covenant House to provide vital services.
Okay, stop fiddling with your papers. Now, I know that we just read that it is mandatory that this be federally reported, right? If they have children in their care and they go missing, it has to be reported. So before you say, oh my gosh, he's the best, maybe, but 5 years, all these children, we don't have no answers. Nobody's been arrested. Nothing's been shut down or redone, or it's just nothing but an investigation. I got a problem with that. That smells kind of funny to me. And again, it has to be reported. So if it has to be federally reported, somebody gonna have to step up and say, this is what we're doing about it, right? Okay, so let's see what they're doing about it.
For youth who are experiencing homelessness, and it's been an inspiration for me, Dr. A, to see a team of dedicated and compassionate people who are focused on supporting and lifting up young people in our state who are experiencing some of the toughest challenges and circumstances imaginable. And I felt from each member of your team, you radiated the kind of empathy, care, concern, and intentionality that I think is so important to doing this work well. Okay. Your expertise.
So while he's spending all this time praising Covenant House, let me give my disclaimer. I read what was posted on Wikipedia and their website, okay, concerning them, and what was reported on their history via Wikipedia. I have not done any other searches or investigations into Covenant House specifically. So I don't know if they have any allegations, if they have any charges pending, if they have any children that came forth or nothing like that. Like I stated and read, that they have places in different states, okay, Florida, New York, a lot of places. So I'm sure they're doing a lot of good work. And I don't have anything to say otherwise, other than what we read about their alleged shaky past. Okay, but we hear about these almost 1,800, almost 2,000 children. So he could have did this off camera. It's kind of weird that he's spending his time doing this when we trying to figure out what's going on with the missing children. So let's see how much longer he does this.
It's clear, and from the young people with whom we just shared some very difficult but very powerful and impactful conversations, I learned a tremendous amount about the challenges faced by youth in Georgia who have been through the foster care system, and the challenges faced by young people in Georgia who are experiencing homelessness. So I would like, before I begin with the remainder of my remarks, to ask all of us who are here just to give a round of applause to Dr. A and her team for their work.
Okay, I might have to do some later on. All right, because I got a thesis paper to write, but to look, a couple of them actually, a few, to see if there's anything that could be found on Covenant House, because I just this to me, I don't know why. I think if this was just a award ceremony or something, then yeah. But, we got a lot of missing children we here to talk about. Why are you taking your time out to congratulate Covenant House before you get into the missing children? Y'all could have did that off camera while y'all was there. Like,
I want to thank all of you for joining me today, and just to take a moment and describe the conversations that we just had. As many of you know, in February I launched a bipartisan inquiry into allegations of abuse and neglect of foster children here in Georgia.
Again, guys, there was a reason why I read the things that I read. He didn't just wake up in the middle of the night and his wife say, "What's wrong, dear? You can't sleep?" "No, I can't sleep because, there's a lot of missing children coming out of, the state. And I just, as Senator of Georgia, I can't take it, and I need to do something about it. So we need to launch a bipartisan investigation." And that's exactly what his job is. You understand that? Okay, all right.
Inquiry into the human rights of foster children across the country, following press reporting from investigative journalists, especially here in the metro Atlanta area, who unveiled serious allegations of significant abuse and neglect of foster children. And I just had the opportunity.
And as long as he keeps dilly-dallying around, I'm gonna keep adding my 2 cents. I'm sure this is not new news to anybody. Okay? We didn't just find out about this all at once. This has been known, been reported, been talked about. Okay?
To speak with some extraordinary young people who have faced extraordinary challenges, but who demonstrated a level of courage and wisdom and determination to lift themselves up and their kids up that really moved me. And so I want to thank you for engaging with me and my team in that way, and for sharing your stories with us. Senator Blackburn and I launched this bipartisan inquiry into the human rights of foster children earlier this spring. And representing Georgia in the U.S. Senate, I have focused much
of... Okay, y'all know by now what I'm about to do. So just pardon me here for a second.
My attention on what's happening here in my state, and on the performance of Georgia DFCS, which receives hundreds of millions of dollars of federal funding every year and which is subject to federal...
Hundreds of millions of dollars. And y'all putting these children in hotels. A lot of the trafficking goes on in hotels. Huh? There have been found situations where some of these children were trafficked out of hotels. He said hundreds of millions of dollars, okay? And they ain't hired no new staff. Nothing. Well, I don't know what they did, right? Because how long we been? Almost 4 minutes, okay.
Oversight. And on Wednesday, Senator Blackburn and I convened the first public hearing as part of this ongoing bipartisan probe. We heard heartbreaking testimony from Rachel Aldridge, a Georgia mother whose 2-year-old daughter, Brooklyn, was murdered while in care. The proper background check had not been carried out. The reports that she had made about concerns for her daughter's health and safety had not been heard. We heard from Monet Houston.
Hold on.
Court records show that after Brooklyn was murdered, you received a Facebook message from Brooklyn's caseworker, Ms. Beaumier, who wrote to you, quote, "You did not fail her. DFCS did." How did you feel when you received that message?
Like it was too late. I mean, my daughter was already dead. There was nothing. I just felt helpless. Like the system that was put in place to protect my daughter failed her.
If DFACS had followed its own policies, had sought your consent for this placement, had run the background check that they were required to run, had listened to you when you reported that you had seen bruising on your daughter's body, do you believe Brooklyn would still be alive today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is I'm gonna have to do some more looking into the situation, and depending on what I gather, I will come back, but it'll be alive. This is really troublesome. This was posted on October the 25th, so I have a lot of questions. I'm curious as to when did this take place, because I know all of this is not just coming to the forefront at the same time, right? Okay, I would like to know what happened as a result of this situation, because they just stated that the people did not do a background check, which, how can you put a child with somebody and you didn't do it back? They got hundreds of millions of dollars. Did he say that? So they can pay proper foster parents. What's going on in Georgia? And y'all out here just voting. I mean, y'all really out here just voting with no real rhyme or reason behind it. And even if you think you have a rhyme or reason, we just don't know about it because nobody talks about it. I don't see it. I don't see it. You got all these corrupt people in office. Y'all better look it up. You got all these jail systems. You got Fulton County jail system is on high alert all over the media right now with the drama they got going on. You know, we can go on and on and on with this. It's a lot of corruption and foul things happening in Georgia. And people just out here voting. They don't even want to get together and have a Sunday go to meeting one time about how should we vote. Like, people think they should just vote for whoever the hell they want to vote for just because they want to vote for them. You know, when history tells us that it didn't go like that, okay, I'm gonna say that history tells us that it did not go like that, okay. When we came up on a time to where we had the 13 colonies, and you know they were fighting to separate themselves from the French and the British, and they wanted to form the United States of America. There was like an 8-year battle. There was a lot of negotiations. You had, you know, what we call today the Republicans and the Democrats, you know, and they had their interest, and they had I can't remember. I'm trying to remember what we had before we had the Constitution. But as the Constitution was being written, and you know, some people said I don't really feel that suffice. It doesn't have enough in here. What's going to stop y'all from treating us like they was treating us, or worse? You know, we need some provisions in there. We need some amendments. And this is what we wanted to say. And they got together with their people and they say, well, come on, y'all. What we going to tell them we need? And then we'll, you know, ratify this thing, and we can all come together and be called the United States of America. What some things? Well, we need. Let's call it the Bill of Rights. Okay. Well, what we gonna have in? Well, we need the right to practice our religion. Yep, we want that. We need the right to bear arms. You know, and there was negotiations back and forth about who gonna get what. Okay, along with the real reason why, slavery was, it wasn't because, hey, that's not nice to do that to people. That wasn't the reason. It was it was a business move, part of the negotiations, part of the forming the United States of America. People didn't just go out there and vote. This is something that this is of recent times. People used to say, oh, well, I don't like the way we being represented. This is not this doesn't serve us. We're not happy with this. We don't like these laws. We don't like this. You're not doing enough for here. You're not doing enough for there. Everything was negotiated. The way states are represented, how we even get people in Congress and the Senate, how many states, how many representatives per state, all of these negotiations involved slaves, right? How they was going to count each person in each state. Some states were small. Some states didn't have a lot of people. Some states didn't have slaves. And the ones that had slaves, well, the ones that didn't have slaves, they said, well, y'all got slaves, you make money off them. We out here putting our hands to it. Y'all make money off them slaves. What you want to get them counted for? Well, we still, need some representation, and we need funding and stuff, because they take up, air and space, and just like we do. So, okay, well, we ain't gonna count them as full humans, they're gonna be a fraction. So that's how the census came about. We need to know how many people you have in your state so you can get some of these negotiated fundings and representations, and get people to go up there and represent your state in the Congress and everything. And if those people that's representing your state is not representing your state in a way that you wanted to, then we got together and talked about it. Like, and we've, Senator Ossoff, he represented Georgia right. We need to get him up out of there. Georgia, North Carolina, a couple other states. I think Tennessee was some of the last states to even go ahead and give in. They didn't want to change too much. They didn't want to give up their slaves. They didn't want to, even with the little, 3/5 representation funding. They didn't want to agree to ratify Constitution and the uniting of the states. There was negotiations and people putting their foot down, and this went on and on. It's your election year. It's time for you to come up. Now we got to review you. We're going to have a meeting, because we're going to see if we feel like you've been representing us the way you're supposed to. And if you haven't, we're going to get somebody else in there. And all throughout their term, if we're not happy with what's going on, we're going to contact you. We're going to talk to you and let you know this ain't what we want. Get it right. Now it's just they do whatever they want to do, and y'all just vote. And then you wave your sticker. I voted. You did what? You didn't. What you do? You voted. So we got a DFCS. We got a Department of Children and Family Services that's removing children from the homes in large numbers, housing them in hotels. They're being abused, they're being trafficked, and even eliminated, being placed with people who haven't even gotten the proper background checks and haven't been listening to clearly what we're hearing here. The mother was complaining.
Ms. Aldridge, you've been through every parent's absolute worst nightmare. And I'm sorry. And I think all of us are grateful that you've taken the time and summoned the courage to relive this and to share it with the public and the Senate. Why have you chosen today to take that step?
So what happened to Brooklyn doesn't happen to anybody else.
Did he? I don't
Thank you,
understand.
Ms. Aldridge.
I'm sorry. I don't understand the question. It's as if she's doing a public service. Why haven't anyone done their jobs? Is my question.
19-year-old young woman who had been in foster care as a youth for 16 years in Georgia, who described being locked up. She described it as being locked up like an inmate while she was in care. She described being over-medicated while she was in care. We released data that the subcommittee has obtained from an audit conducted by Georgia DFCS in early 2023, revealing a failure rate of 84% to properly assess and respond to threats to the safety of children in their own homes or in care. And we heard from some of the preeminent experts in child welfare here in Georgia who characterized what they described as systemic failures within the system, with one expert testifying, quote, "The foster care system in Georgia has always struggled with systemic challenges and barriers, but I've never seen it as dismal as it is today," end quote. As I mentioned, this bipartisan inquiry is ongoing. And as I said on Wednesday, this is not an investigation about statistics and bureaucratic language and terminology. This is an investigation about children. This is an investigation about children and youth, and some of the most vulnerable youth in Georgia and across the country. This is an investigation about what is being done to protect children who have faced abandonment, who have been orphaned.
Okay, my question is, how come they haven't been done an investigation and taken action? Because they're supposed to report immediately these abuses and neglect, and when a child runs away, that has to be reported within 24 hours. So is the state losing or at risk of losing their federal funding for this? Is this why it's being brought? Because I don't understand why nothing has been done. Like, now we have an investigation?
Who have faced severe abuse and neglect in early childhood in many cases. Children who rely upon state agencies and federal policy, which oversees those state agencies, as their last hope for safety. So in addition to coming to Covenant House today to engage with the team here and to speak with young people who have been impacted by this system, I'm also here to share some of the latest findings from this ongoing investigation. And I want to emphasize that this is ongoing. We are continuing to interview witnesses. We've spoken now with more than 100 people. We are continuing to review thousands of pages of records. But I want to share with you...
I mean, did they just get the information? Because
one of our latest findings today for the first time. And just for background, state foster agencies are required by federal law to report missing children to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NCMEC. And in an analysis conducted at the subcommittee's request, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has found that between 2018 and 2022, 1,790 children in the care of Georgia DFCS were reported missing.
How? Just how?
Let me repeat that for you. In an analysis conducted at the subcommittee's request, the Center for Missing and Exploited Children found that between 2018 and 2022, 1,790 children in the care of Georgia DFCS were reported missing. Now, these numbers are deeply
okay, so they're supposed to be reported immediately. So when you got to number 20, 30,
because these are more than numbers. These are children.
okay, you said that.
And according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and I think the leadership here at Covenant House has a lot of experience with issues like this, children who go missing from care are left more vulnerable to human trafficking, to sexual exploitation, and to other threats to their health and safety. Furthermore, of the 1,790 children in the care of Georgia DFCS who were reported missing during this period, the review conducted at our request by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children found that some were repeatedly reported missing. And in fact, this analysis found nearly 2,500 episodes of Georgia foster children being reported missing during this 5-year
And
span.
y'all just, okay, so they just sat back and collected the reports?
So this investigation is ongoing. The subcommittee is working actively to analyze data and produce additional findings,
10 minutes.
again based upon now more than 100 interviews and thousands of pages of records. But more important than thousands of pages of records are the testimonies that the public heard on Wednesday from Ms. Aldridge and from Monet, and the stories that my team and I heard today from young people here at Covenant House about what they've been through, because this is about human beings. This is about vulnerable children who deserve...
He just keeps... Was it about them when they got the first report, the second report, the third report? Clearly he's saying nothing in this. It's almost over.
protection from abuse, who deserve sanctuary from neglect, and that is why I will continue relentlessly to investigate failures to protect the most vulnerable children in our state.
Okay. So when people make statements about the foster care system and the Department of Children and Family Services system across America, you know, they're not just making blanket statements. You can look at their reports. And it says here that professionals submitted 67% of reports alleging child abuse and neglect. Non-professionals submitted reports. 600,000 victims of child abuse and neglect. Children younger than 1 year old have the highest rate of victimization. The victim rate for girls is 8.7 per 1,000 girls in the population. And this is in the state's care, children in the state's care, just to be clear. I just, almost 50,000 infants in 49 states being referred to CPS agencies as infants with prenatal substance exposure. This is a report from the Children's Bureau. Then you have the Congressional Research Service PDF here about the Prevention of Sex Trafficking and Strengthening Families Act, right? And it talks about what it's designed to do and, you know, things like that. I just haven't seen, and I just skimmed over it, but specific actions that are supposed to take place when they find such things, maybe it's there somewhere if I look hard enough. But how can you have that many children being reported and it's just now being addressed publicly? And y'all don't got y'all foot on these people necks. You just out here voting, keeping the same people in office. Underneath these his video, anyone still looking for our next president can look right here. Ossoff. Bless you, Senator. Thank you for your tireless, dedicated work. I live in Georgia and I expect you to represent the morals of biblical truth. Please know that if you turn the agencies back to the state, I left the business and assisted living home because of several federal rulings that cannot be met. Okay, whatever. We love him. Okay, cool. I appreciate the owner of the Vidalia Police Department. Okay, that's something else. Shameful, but sadly not uncommon for the foster care system in the United States. What do they think he's doing here? That's like heroic or something. I mean, this is a reporting in mass numbers of something that's been, or supposed to have been reported along the way, happening here in Georgia, and now we got an investigation. All that money they getting? Well, I'll come back if I have more, guys, but leave your thoughts, your comments below.